what does the trade deadline look like for teams that can add somebody and go from maybe 4 or 5 in the seedings to conference champions? What do you see in your crystal ball?
It's not a buyer's market, to be sure.
Okay.
It is absolutely a seller's market. And I think a lot of teams that are looking right now, be it any of the teams at the top of that Western Conference picture, Philadelphia, some others that are out there, they're going to look hard at Utah. Utah, I think, is the team to watch over these next couple of weeks. Like, to me, this is Christmas in Danny Ainge land. Like, he has had one of the best, 10-month stretches you can possibly have. Not only does he get a king's ransom for Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, but they get that fast start to the season that energized the fan base. They get Lowry Markkanen playing like an all-star, and that's important because the all-star game is in Salt Lake City this year. And then over the last month or so, they're competitive in some games, but they start to lose. They're right around that 10 spot right now in the Western Conference, which gives Danny Ainge license to break this thing apart, which I think is all he really wants to do. I think he wants to strip this team down for parts, get as many draft picks as possible, and give him a chance to get into the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes and get that franchise player that Utah would never have a chance of getting otherwise. So this has almost been, I think, a dream season for Danny Ainge in that front office.
Oh, you talked about, and then how many teams are going to start speaking French? How many people? Honestly,
this guy's ridiculous, Rich.
There's no question. Like he makes Giannis on occasion look like just pedestrian.
I have had more than a few GMs say he's the most talented prospect they've ever seen, and that includes LeBron James. That's how ridiculously good he is and the kind of ceiling that he has.
And then, of course, everything that you hear about him is he's good people too, right? So you're not have to worry about any stupid nonsense on top of it.
Not to this point.
Right.
And the irony is, Scoot Henderson, who is playing in the G League right now, like any other draft, transformative point guard who can play like Westbrook-esque, like in his prime. Everyone will be clamoring for Scoot Henderson. Right now, he's almost an afterthought because Victor Wembanyama is a true franchise player that all these teams are going to be fighting for.
But still, though, I mean, you only would have a 14% chance of getting him, right?
The bottom 3 teams have the 14% chance.
Right.
But that's what I think the Jazz will be focusing on in the second half of the season, trying to get closer that 14% chance, and at the same time maximizing guys like Kelly Olynyk's not part of their long-term future in Utah. Malik Beasley's not part of their long-term future in Utah. Like they've got some pieces there that teams that believe one more shooter or one more versatile front court player, they might be willing to give a first-round pick in exchange for one of these guys. They could walk away at the deadline with 2 more first-round picks for guys that, quite frankly, were not going to be part of their future anyway.
Well, the Powerball is $1.3 billion here in Southern California. So this lottery is that, right? Like this upcoming draft lottery is in fact like the ultimate Powerball for NBA teams.
It's probably the most consequential lottery we've had since LeBron. That's goes without saying.
And then Ewing before that.
Yeah,
pretty much.
You got to go back decades. Every couple of decades, you get a transformative figure that comes into the league. Ewing, LeBron, and now you have Victor Wembanyama, who could take a team like Utah or Houston or any of those other bottom-feeding teams right now and put them in the playoff mix within 1 or 2 years.
And the NBA is going to be on lookout of who's. Or they can't do anything about it. The number of times, some players don't even play back-to-back anymore.
The back-to-backs don't bother me. It's the second half shutdowns that bother me. Guys that are fully healthy.
What happened with the Clippers and the Nuggets the other night?
Yeah, that's tough.
Now that was injury management, I guess.
I mean, the Clippers,
they're not tanking. I understand that.
The Clippers, though, all they want is to just get to mid-April and have all their guys healthy.
And be at least the 4 seed, right?
Yeah, at least the 4 seed. And maybe get 15 to 20 games in the final 2 months of them all playing together to get some chemistry. They're so concerned about health in that locker room that if they can just fast forward the clock to April, they'll be fine.
They'd love to do that. I know they sat Kawhi and Paul George in the second half of that blowout. They didn't even send him out on the court on TNT, and they didn't play him the next night either.
There's been some bad national TV games lately.
I know that. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.